My husband had driven me to my pregnancy checkup that morning. The nurse coyly tilted her phone toward me, pointed at the girl in the photo and whispered, "Is this his wife? Do you recognize her? Last month, he brought her here himself, for an abortion." I stared at the screen, and the woman in the picture was my own sister-in-law. I did only one thing afterward, and that one act was enough to send my sister-in-law into complete panic, while my entire in-laws family stayed frozen with shock. At that moment, I was sitting on a cloud-soft sofa in the waiting area of the most upscale private OB-GYN clinic in Atlanta, Georgia. My 16-week belly was still barely visible, yet my hand rested on it unconsciously, stroking it gently as though I might disturb the tiny life inside. Warm sunlight streamed in through the large window, throwing a golden rectangle across the floor. The atmosphere around me was elegant, bright, and silent. Welcome to Betty Stories. I post new life stories every day and would be grateful if you subscribed and liked the video. Now let's return to the story. I'm sure you'll enjoy it if you listen until the end. From the outside, anyone would have said I was living my best life. My husband Marcus stood at the reception desk not far away. He wore a crisp dress shirt and dark trousers. He looked tall and composed. Every now and then, he'd glance back at me, smile and mouth the words, "Almost done." That gentle smile, the same one he'd shown me for years, could make any stranger assume I'd married the perfect man. And honestly, to our families and friends, Marcus was that man, the ideal son, hardworking, soft-spoken, successful, always thoughtful with gifts. My in-laws practically worshipped him. From the time we started dating to the day we married, everything was so flawless that even I came to believe it myself. He never forgot anniversaries. He always brought the flowers and cake. If I craved something at midnight, he'd drive across town to get it. After I got pregnant, he became even more attentive. He helped me up and down stairs, reminded me to drink milk, and when I felt sick at night, he stayed awake rubbing my back without complaining. Even today, though he had an important office meeting, he insisted on canceling it to personally take me to my routine appointment. He handled everything, parking the car, taking our number, carrying my medical file, bringing me a cup of warm water. 2 nurses passed us, whispering to each other with admiration, "She's so lucky. Her husband really loves her." Their words quieted the uneasiness inside me, because honestly, I hadn't been fully at peace lately. Marcus had been working overtime more often. He came home late, his phone always locked. When he got calls, he stepped out to the balcony to talk quietly. If I asked, he said it was just work, and that I shouldn't worry because of the pregnancy. I told myself it was just hormones making me overly sensitive. I forced myself to believe in the happy illusion I'd worked so hard to maintain. I sipped my water, took a deep breath, and told myself, "Don't think too much. Stay positive for the baby." Soft music filled the waiting room, along with footsteps echoing on the tiles and a faint disinfectant smell. Just then, a woman in her 50s approached me. Hair in a neat bun, white coat, badge reading Miss Davis, the nursing supervisor. She offered a polite smile. "You're Marcus's wife, right? Your husband spoils you a lot. He does everything himself." I smiled back proudly. "Yes, he worries too much." But Miss Davis kept looking at me with a strange mix of sympathy and uncertainty. She glanced toward the counter, making sure Marcus wasn't coming back. Then she lowered her voice. "I'm sorry to ask, but is everything all right between you two?" My heart skipped. That simple question made the uneasiness inside me flare. I tried to answer calmly, "Yes, everything is fine." "Why?" Her smile disappeared. She checked the desk again, then quickly slid her phone from her pocket, tapped the screen, and held it out to me. "Do you know this girl?" she whispered. I looked down. The dim hallway in the photo looked like a gynecology ward. A man held a woman who looked weak, as though leaning entirely on him. She wore a mask, holding her stomach. His head was bent toward her with concern. I didn't need more than one glance. The man was Marcus. His profile, his posture, the way he touched her back, and the woman, even with the mask. I knew her eyes and figure instantly. Chanel, my sister-in-law, my brother-in-law, Andre's wife. A loud ringing filled my head. The warm, luxurious clinic around me suddenly felt like a cruel joke. My hand tightened on my belly. When was this taken? My voice sounded unfamiliar even to me. "Last month, on the 15th, Miss Davis said firmly. They came to the gynecology floor. I was on duty. Your husband did all the paperwork, paid the fees. The girl underwent a termination. The fetus was over 4 months. Cold shot through me, Last month the 15th. Marcus had told me he'd be gone for a 2-day business trip that exact day. And Chanel told the family she was going to her mother's place because she felt unwell. Andre even complained at dinner about her being too delicate. The puzzle pieces arranged themselves in one horrifying click. 4 months. Meaning that pregnancy existed before I'd even known I was pregnant. Ms. Davis whispered. I assumed they were married. He called her Babe. He comforted her so gently. She was crying a lot, and he said, we'll get another chance. Don't cry. Seeing him bring you today, I was shocked. You're pregnant, and I wasn't sure you could handle this. Each word sliced through me. Babe, we'll get another chance. Words he had said to me, too. I forced myself not to fall apart. I bit my lip until I tasted blood. Can you send me that picture? Ms. Davis saw the redness in my eyes, but also the clarity in my expression. She nodded, yes. But please, don't say I told you. I could lose my job. I just feel sorry for you, and the baby. I understand. Please send it. I gave her my number. My phone vibrated. The photo arrived. Just then Marcus walked toward me with his usual smile, holding a folder. All done, sweetheart. Let's go to the doctor. Okay. Oh, Miss Davis. Hello, he greeted cheerfully. She instantly switched to a normal smile as if nothing had happened. Just came to say hi. Take care. 16 weeks is delicate. Marcus held my hand and led me inside, but his touch felt like a cold snake on my skin. In the consultation room, I barely heard the doctor's voice telling me the fetus was healthy. Everything sounded far away. I nodded mechanically. Back in the car, watching the city blur outside the window, I opened the photo again. Marcus, holding Chanel. The tenderness in his eyes, I had rarely received that same look. My chest tightened, but beneath the pain, a cold new resolve began forming. If I had screamed at the clinic, people would call me a dramatic pregnant woman. Marcus would say it was a misunderstanding. My in-laws would defend him, telling me I was overthinking. No, I wouldn't be that foolish. I turned to look at Marcus driving peacefully, humming along with the radio, unaware that his secret had just been exposed. Inside me, a quiet, icy voice spoke. Stay calm. Gather proof. Make them pay. I placed a hand on my belly. Mommy won't be naive anymore. Mommy is going to expose every one of them. That night at home, Marcus acted as gentle as ever. He made me warm milk, reminded me to rest. Without that photo, I would still think he was the perfect man, but every gesture now disgusted me. I excused myself and locked the bedroom door, something I'd never done before. Marcus paused outside, confused, then walked away silently. Sitting on the bed, I stared at the photo again. Marcus's tender gaze at another woman. My own sister-in-law, during her abortion. A baby that existed while I was joyfully nurturing mine. I opened my menstrual cycle app and checked everything. My pregnancy timeline aligned perfectly. But Chanel's. 4 months, during the time Marcus had claimed he was traveling for work. Had Andre known? Did he know his wife had been pregnant by someone else, or had an abortion without him? My heart trembled. As I lay awake that night, I whispered, you think I'll cry and collapse? You're wrong. I will gather every piece of evidence. And when the truth comes out, your whole family will be forced to bow their heads. The next morning, Marcus cooked breakfast as if nothing was wrong. But the moment I remembered the picture, my heart hardened again. I told him I wanted to visit his parents' house alone. He was confused, suspicious. Good. Let him fear something without knowing what. When I reached my in-laws' home, Chanel was pale, holding orange juice. Andre was cheerfully pruning orchids, watching them. An indescribable feeling washed over me. If Andre knew his wife had aborted a baby that wasn't his, would he still whistle like that? Inside, Chanel kept avoiding my eyes, and every glance she stole at me trembled with guilt. During lunch, I purposely said, the smell of the food bothers me a little, knowing exactly how Marcus had comforted me during my early pregnancy, and probably Chanel too. Chanel froze, her spoon shaking. Andre laughed innocently. She was just like you, sister-in-law, when she had morning sickness. Chanel's face turned white. I smiled faintly. Only I knew the meaning behind it. Before leaving, I looked at Chanel through the window, her hand unconsciously covering her stomach. A life that once existed, quietly erased. Her eyes trembled when she met mine. She knew. She sensed that I knew. I left without a word. They all thought I was clueless. They thought I was weak. But this was just the beginning. Returning home that evening, Marcus was anxiously waiting, asking why I hadn't answered my phone. I simply ignored his worry, walked past him, and told him I just wanted to rest. He sensed something was wrong. He didn't dare question it. That afternoon, when Marcus stepped out, I entered his home office. I didn't dig through his belongings. I only glanced at what was openly visible. A time-off request dated over a month earlier. The 15th, Chanel's abortion day. My stomach knotted. I brushed my fingers over the paper, feeling a blend of coldness and pain. I opened the next drawer. A hospital bill, the same hospital where Ms. Davis worked, and beneath it, a detailed payment for a voluntary pregnancy termination, signed by Marcus. I froze. Every suspicion I'd buried became undeniable truth. It wasn't confusion. It wasn't my pregnancy playing tricks on me. Marcus had signed the abortion documents for Chanel. My hands shook so violently I had to sit down before I collapsed. After a long moment of catching my breath, I took my phone, photographed every document, and saved the images in a secure, password-locked folder. These were my proofs, what I would use to protect my baby, what would expose the truth. I was sliding the bill back into the drawer when the door suddenly opened. Marcus stood there. I flinched, but my face instantly returned to calm. He stared at me with suspicion mixed with concern. "What are you looking for?" I closed the drawer gently. I was searching for the sonogram from the other day. Must have left it on my desk. I held his gaze. Silence hung thick between us. Then I let out a bitter smile. I guess I was mistaken. I walked out, feeling his eyes drilling into my back as I passed. He was starting to fear something, exactly what I intended. I needed him insecure, on edge, making mistakes, scared of losing me. That way, he would reveal the truth himself, because this game had just begun, and I, carrying a small life inside me, was going to win. After leaving his office, I went directly to the balcony. Leaning on the railing, I inhaled deeply. Afternoon breeze was cooler than usual, brushing my face and helping my mind sharpen. Down in the gated community's courtyard, children ran and laughed while the porters sipped coffee and chatted quietly. Life looked so peaceful that it felt unreal, knowing that a few floors above, a woman's heart was being crushed piece by piece. I placed my hand on my belly. "Honey, Mommy won't let anyone hurt you ever again." Strength surged inside me. A strength I never knew I had. Maybe it's true, when a woman becomes a mother, she becomes stronger than she ever imagined. The balcony door opened softly. Marcus walked out, stepping beside me and resting his hands on the railing, trying to keep his face calm. "Imani, are you really okay?" I glanced at him. Before, that look might have convinced me. Now it was just a polished mask hiding betrayal. "I'm perfectly fine," I said. "You're acting strange. You're hiding something from me, aren't you?" I turned my eyes back to the courtyard below. "If I were hiding something, would you tell me the truth?" Marcus stiffened at my question. His shoulders tensed, his gaze shifted. "What is that supposed to mean?" he asked, forcing steadiness in his voice. "I'm just asking," I replied casually. He didn't answer. After a moment, he laughed nervously. "When you talk like that, it means something's up. But I trust you'll tell me when you're ready." I stayed silent, letting him drown in uncertainty, right between trust and suspicion, fear and doubt. Exactly where I needed him. That night, I pretended to be sleepy early. Marcus, however, was restless. He wandered around the living room, glancing toward my bedroom door every few minutes. He was nervous, terrified that I knew something he couldn't control. Around 11, while I lay still as if deeply asleep, my door opened slowly. Marcus's silhouette stood in the doorway, watching me. I kept my breathing steady. He stepped inside, creeping closer. His hand rested lightly on the blanket near my belly. A soft touch, yet trembling with fear. Maybe he worried that if I learned the truth, I'd do something to harm the baby. "Sleep well," he whispered. I didn't move. After a few seconds, he turned and left the room. Then I heard the office door open and close. I counted to 60, then rose quietly and moved to the office door. I pressed my ear against it. Marcus's voice was low, strained. "I told you she doesn't know yet. Calm down. Let me figure this out. If this gets out, I'll be the one facing the consequences." Each phrase hit like a punch. He was clearly talking to Chanel. Both of them were afraid, but the line that burned into me was, "If it gets out, I'll be the only one who pays." What consequences? Just the abortion? Or something even darker? I sat on the sofa, heart pounding. I couldn't wait anymore. I needed to take another step. "Tomorrow, I would confront Chanel. The next morning I put on a loose blouse to hide my belly, tied my hair up, and caught a cab to my in-laws' house. Chanel was alone. Andre was at work, and my mother-in-law had gone to the market. The house was quiet. I entered the kitchen and saw her chopping vegetables. The moment she saw me, she froze. "Hi, sister-in-law, you're here early." "Yes," I replied calmly. "I need to talk to you." Her finger slipped slightly. She almost dropped the knife. She set it down, her face draining of color. "About what, sister-in-law?" she asked. I walked toward the table and took a seat. "Sit down. We need to talk." Chanel swallowed hard and quietly lowered herself into the chair across from me, her hands trembling against her knees. The silence grew so thick it felt suffocating. At last I broke it. "How have you been lately?" Chanel jerked slightly, her eyes darting around. I'm fine. Are you sure?" "Yes, I'm sure." I held her gaze. "And the baby? What happened last month? Have you moved on from it?" Chanel's entire body shook, her face drained of color. I didn't need to explain more. She knew exactly what I meant. "As sister-in-law, what do you know?" she stammered. I didn't answer right away. Instead, I unlocked my phone, opened the photo Miss Davis had sent, and placed it in front of her. Chanel's eyes widened, and she froze. Tears began filling her eyes, but I recognized them. They were not tears of innocence, but of pure panic. Slowly I asked, "Tell me, whose baby was it?" Chanel broke. She burst into sobs, grabbing the front of her blouse like she was trying to hold herself together. "Sister-in-law, please don't tell Andre. I'm begging you." My heart twisted, but I stayed firm. "You had the courage to do it, but now you don't have the courage to admit it." Chanel cried harder. "I made a mistake. I wasn't thinking. Just please don't let my husband know. He'll leave me." "And how do you think I feel?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. She collapsed forward, hiding her face. "I'll do anything, just don't tell him." I watched her, not angry at her cowardice, but furious that Marcus had betrayed me so deeply to protect her. I spoke softly. "I haven't said a word to anyone, but I won't let this end here. Is there anything else between you and Marcus that I don't know?" Her reaction was instant, like I'd stabbed her a second time. Her eyes shot open, lips trembling uncontrollably. "Sister-in-law, Marcus, I leaned in. "Speak." Chanel curled her hands together, then whispered through her sobs, a sentence that froze my blood. "Marcus said we couldn't keep that baby because you were pregnant." Every word hit like a stone thrown at my chest. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. I staggered to my feet while Chanel fell apart, crying desperately. "Please, don't tell anyone, please." But her voice faded, because in my mind only one cold, brutal truth echoed. Marcus hadn't just betrayed me. He sacrificed another child because I was expecting his. I walked toward the door, and without turning around said, "Pray I don't discover anything else." The room fell dead silent. I left my in-laws' house with one hand holding my belly and my heart turning into ice. This game had shifted into a new phase, and losing was no longer an option. Out on the street, I felt weightless, like my body was moving but my soul wasn't inside it. A storm of rage, disgust, pain, and emptiness spun within me so fiercely that I had to grab the gate to steady myself. Cars passed. Children laughed. People chatted. The world kept moving. But inside me, everything had collapsed. Marcus forced her to abort because I was pregnant. The sentence stabbed every corner of my mind. His betrayal alone was enough to destroy me. But this was monstrous. He had chosen my baby by destroying someone else's. Maybe to hide it from his parents. Maybe to protect his reputation. Maybe out of fear. I didn't care anymore. All I knew was that Marcus was no longer the man I had loved. Not the man I married, not the man I trusted. When the cab stopped in front of my building, I paid the fare and got out. But I halted at the entrance. If I went inside, I'd have to face him. His lies, his fake tenderness, that polished mask hiding his calculations. I couldn't. Not yet. Instead, I opened my phone and searched for the one name I knew I could trust. Jasmine, my real friend. My sister in every way except blood. "Jasmine, can I see you now?" She replied by calling me almost instantly. "Where are you?" "I'm coming." An hour later, we sat in a nearly empty cafe near the park. I wrapped my hands around a cup of hot tea, but the cold in my fingers wouldn't leave. Jasmine stared at me, worry all over her face. "Girl, you're skin and bones. Tell me what happened." I didn't speak. I simply showed her the photo. The moment she saw it, she gasped, "That's Marcus and Chanel." Oh my God. Fighting my tears, I told her everything. The photo, the confession, the bill, the time off request. With each detail, Jasmine's hands trembled harder. When I finished, she hugged me tightly. "How did you survive this alone? A man like that doesn't deserve anyone." I looked at her with dry, empty eyes. "I don't have tears left, Jasmine." After a long pause, she whispered, "What will you do now? Are you going to stay with him?" I tightened my grip on the mug. "I can't leave yet. If I want to protect my child, I have to stay long enough to uncover the whole truth. If Marcus forced Chanel into an abortion just to prevent his family's reputation from being stained, then I have to be even more careful. A man cornered like that is capable of anything." Jasmine looked at me with a mix of concern and admiration. "You're stronger than I thought. But you're alone against his entire family and pregnant too. It's dangerous." I put my hand on my belly and closed my eyes. "No one is going to harm this child. No one." Jasmine stayed quiet for a moment before asking softly, "Do you need help with anything?" "Yes," I answered, opening my eyes and staring straight at her. "I need you to keep an eye on someone." "Who?" "Chanel." Jasmine blinked in surprise. "Your sister-in-law?" "Yes." "Do you think Chanel will ever be fully honest with me?" I whispered. "She fears me, yes, but fear doesn't equal honesty. If she fears Marcus more, she'll keep covering for him. I need to know if they're still seeing each other, still talking, still hiding things." Jasmine slowly nodded. "Understood." I squeezed her hand. "You're the only person I trust. And I'm sure Chanel contacted Marcus last night. She was the one who called." Jasmine sighed. "God, a pregnant woman shouldn't be going through this." I forced a bitter smile. "It's all right. I'm doing it for my son." By sunset, I returned home. Marcus stood in the kitchen and rushed toward me the second he saw me. "Where were you? Why didn't you tell me?" I placed my purse and coat down. "I was with a friend." "Which friend?" he asked nervously. "Jasmine." Relief washed over his face. Maybe in his mind, Jasmine was harmless, someone who wouldn't meddle. He handed me a glass of water. "Drink?" I was worried. "Was your phone still on silent?" "Yes." I was tired. Marcus stared at me for a long time, trying to read between my expressions. I let him. I wanted him to see a wife, simply exhausted from pregnancy. "If something is wrong, tell me," he said gently. I smiled faintly. "As long as you care about the two of us, that's enough. But worrying too much, that can harm your health." My light words were enough to make Marcus freeze. He looked at me strangely, as if suddenly realizing the woman standing before him was no longer the naive wife he'd married. I turned away and entered my room, closing the door. Inside the dim light, I leaned against the wall and placed my palm on my belly. "Baby, Mommy did well today, don't worry. I won't act impulsively. I'll let the truth reveal itself. I'll let every mask fall naturally. Tomorrow, I would start investigating Andre, Marcus's brother, because a good man like him not noticing anything was unbelievable." That night, after Marcus fell asleep, I sat up against the headboard. The warm yellow glow from the lamp filled the room. I looked at the video again, Marcus embracing Chanel. My heart tightened, but not with the same raw pain as before. The pain had shifted into something cold and sharp, survival. Marcus breathed steadily beside me. Each breath he took made me laugh bitterly. A man who could hug his mistress while lying to his wife, sign an abortion, then cook breakfast as if nothing happened. A man like that required caution. I put the phone down and caressed my belly. "Baby, tomorrow Mommy must see Andre. I need to know whether he suspects anything. If he doesn't, stay silent. He's not innocent either." The next morning, after Marcus left, I took a cab to Andre's office. Nobody knew. Not even Jasmine. I wanted to see him alone. Through the glass, I saw Andre working quietly in his neat little office. How could a man so earnest stay unaware? When I entered, his face brightened. "Sister-in-law, what brings you here?" "I wanted to see you. Do you have a minute?" "Of course." I sat down and after a moment asked, "Have you noticed anything strange about Chanel?" Andre thought. "Chanel? No. She's been a little emotional lately, maybe tired." His eyes held nothing but trust. "You've never seen her acting odd?" He laughed lightly. "You worry too much. She's fine. Lately she visits her parents often. Her mother probably misses her." I inhaled deeply. He knew nothing. "And you don't ask where she goes?" "Of course I do," he said. "If she says she's going to her mother's, I believe her." I trust my wife, sister-in-law. Those words hurt me like a knife. I too had trusted completely, only to be betrayed. And if I ventured, you discovered one day that she hid something serious? He frowned, and then smiled. If it wasn't serious, we'd talk. But if it was betrayal, I don't think I could forgive it. My heart thudded. And what if the betrayal came from someone within the family? His face hardened instantly. Sister-in-law. What are you implying? Nothing, I whispered. Just asking. He watched me closely. If something's wrong, you can tell me. When the time comes, I said, for now, just watch Chanel. He agreed, and I left, outside. My hands were ice cold. Andre was a good man, too good, which made him easy to deceive. Just then my phone vibrated. Jasmine, news. Chanel left your in-laws' house. She's in a cab heading to your community. I froze. To my house. Did she say why? No. She just told the driver to hurry. I called a cab immediately. Only one thought echoed. Why was Chanel going to my home while Marcus wasn't there? If she wanted to beg for mercy, she would have waited. If she wanted to warn Marcus, that was worse. If she reached him before I could, they'd coordinate their lies. The cab raced through the heat. My belly tightened, instinct warning me. A second message from Jasmine she got. Out at the entrance, looking around like she's searching for someone. Searching for me, Marcus, or a way to cover her tracks. The cab stopped. In the distance, I spotted Chanel in a beige jacket, cap, mask, anxious. She kept checking her phone, scanning around, and moved toward my building. I hid, waited, then followed. She reached my door. About to knock, she heard my footsteps and spun around, startled. Sister-in-law, she whispered. Who are you looking for? I asked calmly. She fidgeted. I came to ask you something, then speak. She glanced around nervously. Please, don't tell Andre. I'm terrified. I pushed open my door. If you want to beg, come inside. I don't like scenes in hallways. She hesitated, then entered. You weren't here for me, I said. You wanted to see Marcus, didn't you? Her face crumpled. No, stop lying. Marcus left early. You couldn't reach him. That's why you came. She backed away, trembling. What scares you more? I asked. Andre finding out, or Marcus abandoning you. She burst into tears. I looked at her coldly. You weren't scared when you had the abortion, when you deceived Andre, when you slept with my husband. Her sobs grew harsher. Who forced you? I asked. Silence. I walked closer. You told me Marcus made you abort because I was pregnant, right? She covered her face. Please, don't ask, then talk. She bit her lip until it bled. Finally, she whispered, Marcus said if I had the baby, he'd lose everything, and that you would be in danger too. I froze. A man who hides infidelity is a liar. A man who forces an abortion is cruel, but a man who uses his wife's life and unborn child as an excuse, that is terrifying. What danger? I pressed. I don't know, she cried. He said you couldn't find out. That it would hurt you and the baby. My grip on the table tightened. And what else are you hiding? She shook her head violently. I can't. If I say anything, he'll do something. He said you'd suffer too. If she truly believed Marcus might harm me, what had he told her? Then, she whispered, he told me that he wanted to break up with you. I closed my eyes. So that was his plan. To keep his reputation intact, silence Chanel, and discard me at the right moment. Suddenly the front door opened. Marcus stood there, keys in hand, his face white as chalk. Chanel jolted, and that was the moment everything shattered. The pregnancy, of course. But don't be harsh on Marcus, he cared for you deeply. I smiled. I know. With one simple sentence I had cornered Marcus completely. Now anything he complained about would be seen as him upsetting me, and I suddenly had the perfect excuse to control every part of the situation. When my mother-in-law left, Marcus came toward me. Thank you, he whispered. Don't misunderstand, I cut him off. I'm not defending you. I'm simply waiting for the right moment. He didn't say a word. His fear grew a little more every single day. I went into my room and whispered softly to my belly, See, sweetheart. Your father is shaking in panic, but Mommy isn't. Mommy will make sure everything is revealed, and then no one will be able to protect him. The next few weeks passed in a strange, tense stillness. We lived in the same house, but in two completely different worlds. Marcus kept trying to come closer, but I kept an unbreakable distance between us. Chanel vanished completely. She didn't even dare show her face near the house anymore, and that silence only confirmed that the storm was preparing to strike. One Saturday afternoon, Andre called me. His voice was trembling. "Sister-in-law, can you come over? I need to talk to you urgently." I instantly understood something had happened. "Is this about Chanel?" I asked. He explained that months ago, Chanel told him she was going to stay with her parents, but she never did. She lied. "Meet me at the cafe near your place," I told him. Andre was waiting with red, swollen eyes. "You know something." "Sister-in-law, please, tell me." He showed me the messages with his mother, who denied Chanel ever being there. "So where was she?" he whispered. I inhaled deeply. "Andre, I'm sorry, but you deserve to know the truth. Last month, Chanel went to a gynecology clinic with a man and terminated her pregnancy." Andre's face drained of color. "Whose baby was it? Who went with her?" I looked straight at him. "Marcus." Andre stepped back like someone had struck him. "No, not Marcus." "My brother and Chanel?" I placed a hand gently on his shoulder. I didn't want to believe it either, but I have proof. Photos. Witnesses. Andre covered his face and broke down crying like a child. When he lifted his head again, his expression had transformed. The pain had hardened into fury. "My brother, he knows how serious this is." "Yes. I have to confront him." "Andre," I stopped him. "Don't do anything foolish. Think of your parents." He nodded, but the fire in his eyes told me the explosion was coming. And that night, it did. Andre stormed into his parents' home in front of everyone and threw his phone at Marcus. "Brother, tell me, whose baby did Chanel abort?" The entire room froze. My in-laws were silent. Marcus turned pale as a ghost. Chanel fell to her knees, sobbing. I stood quietly in the doorway as truth swallowed them whole. "It's true, son," Marcus's mother cried. Marcus collapsed. "I'm sorry, Mom, I messed up." Andre lunged forward to hit him, but I held him back. "Don't destroy yourself for them, Andre." The next day, I placed a document on the table. But it wasn't divorce papers. It was a legal request for separation during my pregnancy and permission to move back to my mother's home. "You're leaving me?" Marcus asked, panicked. "I'm not divorcing. Not yet. I'm just removing my son from this toxic house. Please don't go. I'll change." "It's too late, Marcus. I don't want my child to grow up with a father who sacrifices a baby to save himself." When I reached my mother's house, she opened her arms. "Welcome home, sweetheart. No one here will ever make you cry again." I leaned into her shoulder, and for the first time, I cried honestly. Not from pain, but from relief. Months later, I delivered a beautiful baby boy. Holding him, I realized no man would ever break my life again. Marcus asked to visit, but I refused. I sent him only one message. "If you truly love your son, become the kind of man he'll never be ashamed of." Andre divorced Chanel. Marcus's entire family fell silent. No one dared blame me, because they all knew the truth. It wasn't my marriage that collapsed. It was their morality. I built my life again, stronger and peaceful. Watching my son sleep, I whispered, "Honey, Mommy doesn't hate anyone anymore. Karma is real. We just have to live honestly and protect each other." I kissed his forehead. The morning sun was rising outside. A brand new life had begun. This calm-sounding story hid a secret powerful enough to shatter a whole family. A single hospital photo revealed a truth no one imagined. And I finally learned, in marriage no secret stays buried forever. The harder someone hides something, the more painful the explosion. In the end, everyone reaps exactly what they sow. I'm truly happy you stayed with me till the end and let me share my story with you. If you enjoyed it, please like the video and subscribe. Write in the comments which city and what town you're watching from. I love knowing where all you amazing people are from. And if you want to support me a little extra, you can send a small donation. I post new real-life stories every single day. Now, 2 of my most popular stories will appear on the screen. Pick the one you want to watch next.